the final dance. We analyze every win and lost chance. Their theories unravel in a lively chat. Jake and Spaz bring you where the action's at. Bring you where the action's at.
Let's do it. What's going on, ladies and gents? We're here live, hanging out with Spaz Phoenix, having a good time. AEW Full Gear in the tank. Spaz, hell of a crazy night. How you doing, bud?
I was tired when the show started, so always a good start.
Yeah, you know, I was not expecting much going into this night, and I said,
No.
let's see what they can give us. You know, let's see what happens. Let's see what we can make of it. And some things were entertaining. I didn't hate anything. I won't go as far to say as that it was good for most of it, but that ending was certainly overbooked chaos, huh? I mean, it wasn't bad, but they were just
that was
like
a choice.
they were throwing everything at that, and there's a lot to break down there, that's for sure. Live chat, what's going on? Thank you all. Into Somewhere, Episode 2, the AEW Full Gear Live Review 2024. You go ahead, click like and subscribe down below. Usually I'm doing the podcasting over on Spaz's channel.
Hey.
That's right. We're over there hanging out doing the State of Wrestling. But tonight we're chilling over here doing the AEW Odd Review. We weren't really sure what we were going to do for this, but lo and behold, it turned out to be beautiful chaos. Spaz, I'm telling you, they started off this night with a shit show of a pre-show. And, hey, AJ, the Costco guy, he's been trying to be famous for a long time. He's thrown his hat into many rings and his head into many hats. Nothing's really stuck until he did the double chocolate chunk cookie review with his son at Costco. That took off, and now they beat that, meme into the ground, and it's barely breathing, but they got their moment tonight. And on the press tour on their way here, they're like, yeah, we really wanted to, WWE to call. They didn't, so this'll do, was basically the
I'm sure that
the
ingratiated them to
attitude.
the AEW crowd to say, yeah, we really wanted to do this at WWE,
Well,
but
you
we're
know
not
what?
quite Logan Paul.
That's why I was shocked at the reception they got from the audience, because on Dynamite, this shit show was booed out of the building and then got no reaction, like pure silence, hear a nun fart in church kind of reaction. The crowd loved this. They were all about the Rizzler. The Rizzler coming out, people were having a great time with him there. I think that's a little bit of an odd situation. I mean, you have that young kid. He's not even actually a part of the family. Like, this is the other son's friend. There we go. You can see in the middle
Okay.
the Rizzler there backstage. I don't know. I'm not in my Costco guys lore much. I'll have to brush up on that eventually.
I think you
but
told me I should check them out on Instagram, and I'm like, no, I'm good.
it's hilarious because they have that one boom song that the father came out to, and then they do this sort of like two-step, sidestep, back and forth, and they introduce each member of the family. There's dad, there's mom, there's the sister, there's the son, there's the Rizzler, and they all do that little two-step, but it's the same boom song, the same two-stepping, everything's the same, just different backgrounds. Like today we do it in Costco, today we do it in the hospital. Why? Cringe cancer. But hey, the kid Justice, Big Justice there, whatever, he got the spear QT, and if
I guess he's got an assist on his record now.
right, if Kenny Omega has been given so much shit by Cornette and others for going out there and wrestling a 9-year-old girl in a blow-up doll, what are we to say about QT Marshall? I mean, he's not exactly going to be world champ anytime soon like Omega, but this was.
I'll give it to QT, right? Because, and I know I just cut you off. Sorry about that.
No, go
But,
for it.
like,
This was a choice, like you said.
I do. We talked about it while the kickoff was going on, sort of trying to put our thoughts together. I don't need to see this. And, people are like, oh, well, they brought in celebrities over in WWE. Like, this guy's not Logan Paul.
Yeah, he's
Like,
not
it's
a
not.
celebrity. That's the thing. It felt very basement level. I don't want to shit on
No,
the
no.
father. Like, hey, live your dream. You got out there. You used to be an amateur wrestler. He did great in the ring. Like, he held his own,
And
so
that's
it was
kind of what I'm getting
competent.
to. It's kind of what I said to you
Yeah.
before. I'm all for, if nothing else, Tony Khan's a nice guy and he tries to do some nice things. Here's a guy that's got a little bit of value on social media and whatever. He wants to give him his 5 minutes. It's on the kickoff. It's disposable. It doesn't hurt anything. I'm all for that. Let them have a feel good moment. I didn't need to see it. And I think that's about as hard as I'll go on it.
Yeah.
QT really made this work in the sense I didn't know QT until I watched AEW. Obviously, he's one of the few people I will credit AEW for introducing me to. And, you know, he had some fun stuff on the MLP show a couple weeks ago. But he does have that Miz quality of, I don't know who these Costco guys are, but I can see QT. He's giving all the proper, like, basics, like the 1, 2, 3s of wrestling. Okay, I'm the bad guy, so cheer for this guy. He's
Yeah.
the guy that's having his one good night. So
His one shining moment.
it's not like I'm not going to make you cheer them, but I'll make you boo me, and then they get cheered by default. And they had the loudest crowd of the night.
They kind of did at moments. It was crazy, and you know, shout out to everybody in the chat hanging out. I appreciate you guys being
Hello.
there. Yeah, watching football in the pre-show might have been the way to go because, you know, you're onto something in a way. Like, hey, if they're not taking away anything, it's only on the pre-show. But the problem is they had what
Other matches on the pre-show.
Yeah, and
I'm not gonna lie. I think I told you this. I missed the beginning, like the very beginning of the pre-show. I was
Yeah.
with my family. We were watching the movie Trap, which is really good. If anybody is,
how dare you spend time with anyone? No, you
Yeah.
should be watching Deonna Purrazzo and Anna Jay taking on each other in an empty arena. Not
I
only
didn't
did they
know
put
that
these
I didn't know
girls
that
on
they
the
had a match.
kickoff,
I'm kind of bummed that I missed that match because I like Perazo and they hired her and didn't do anything with her.
it was a
but-
good match. I went back and I watched it
Okay.
before the main show kicked off, and basically in the end, Deonna gets Anna Jay in her armbar, and then she basically rolls her up while still in the submission to get the
I know
pin.
Taya Valkyrie was on the outside doing something. I don't know
Yeah.
what her deal is these days.
Anna Jay won by
Okay.
basically not escaping the submission but turning it into a pin, so that was kind of cool to see. But that was a 7-minute match. They gave 12 minutes, never mind entrances and all that stuff too, to the Costco, BS. And, Anna Jay essentially has had some TV time recently.
Yep.
She's been telling a few stories, but on the actual card itself tonight, did we even have 2 women's matches? We
Nope.
had, Statlander was one in the women's celebration, so they couldn't have that match
You hit
on
on
the
you
main
hit on the point
card.
that I was trying to make. Like the
Yeah.
I'm not the nicest to the AEW fans the most of the time. I'm just being honest. But the whole, like, their linchpin right now, because it's a joke. Even like we talk about what culture a lot. Even the guys that like and stick up for AEW make fun of the fact that you get one women's match a night, and then their fallback is but you get 2 or 3 on a pay-per-view because they have 2 titles and blah 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 blah. Well, WWE has like 5 now, so catch up.
And they're starting to have way too many. Yeah.
But you had one because Mariah May didn't have a match tonight. Who knows? There's always the odd chance that maybe that's because she's dealing with an injury or whatever.
She
We
didn't.
don't
No, she was just wrestling the night before against Statlander or somebody. I forgot it was. It was on Collision. She had a hardcore
see.
match.
That's what I get for giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
but
she was out there
there's 2
fighting with
titles.
plunder and garbage. So
There's 2 titles on the show. Only one of them was being defended in a match. I'll get to the match because I'm gonna have a surprising thing to say about that. If for those of you out there that know my opinion of Mercedes. I was about to say Mercedes Martinez, but we're not
Yeah.
doing the whole birthday thing again.
they got egg on their face for that one.
But so they lost their footing in the sense of, but we do at least 2 on a pay-per-view. Well, you didn't. You bumped one to the kickoff, and it was like bumped down farther by this. Like I say, you're getting back to the Boom AJ thing. I don't mind this being on the kickoff. It was harmless. If the celebrity thing, if the TikToker thing was on the main card, I would be harder on it.
Yeah, I would be more upset as
But
well.
you did bump
Yeah.
down the match for the ladies that was already bumped down to the kickoff to begin with. So I kind of have to look at it in that regard as well. The match was harmless. The match was good times. The match was QT Marshall having a match with a guy from TikTok that's coming into AEW for a night.
Here's my problem with AEW, though. I've gotten quite spoiled by the 5-match, you get in, get out, and you're not having everything. There's a lot that's left to be desired. You want to see the U.S. champ. You want to see the other women's champ. You want to see the other champion. Hey, you got to wait.
Now you have to specify which U.S. champ you're talking about.
Exactly, right? Too many belts. But with this one, you get so many matches that after a while, you're like, all right, just get to the main event. Let's go. And it's a detriment to it. And another thing is that having the Costco guys be on the kickoff was a detriment, really, because it's a double-edged sword. It shows celebrities like, oh,
hey, but Big Show
if you do come in, we're only going to put you on the pre-show. But then again, on the pre-show, how much are these guys adding to? So it goes both ways. But
yeah. I will say, you mentioned the cards are too long, and they kind of are. I won't lie. I'm not somebody who's against long cards. Like, if this was a long card full of matches that I gave a shit about, I wouldn't be complaining. We might be having more of a debate about it, but I don't care about a lot of these matches. So I'm going to side with you on those things. I think Tony Khan goes too far one way. Triple H goes way too far the other way. I think there is a happy medium to be found.
I'll give you a hot take really quick.
It has to be matches I care about.
I going off of what you're saying, branching off, I'll give you a hot take quick, is that having the WWE requires there to be parity for the men and women is a detriment to both the men and women, because at this point in time, the women's division is firing on all cylinders, but it doesn't really need a War Games match. The men, the Bloodline saga, that suits War Games. Rhea stealing Dom, losing Dom to Liv, not really a risk your life in a cage kind of match situation. I don't know. I mean, unless he's really packing down there and the King of Orgasms. 619 was actually literal.
I do think it's kind of cool. Like, and they had to. We're going to talk about this a lot more when we get to our War Games preview, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'll get to it short and sweetly, because it didn't. The way they brought it together, and yes, it crosses the brands, and the people that like to shit on WWE and like to pretend that they care about the brand split for 5 minutes are going to say, why are they coming from both brands and all that kind of thing. But everybody involved in these titles has been involved in Liv's title, has been involved in Nia's title, and has been involved in the tag titles. And the tag titles that didn't get much, what do you want to say? Much
attention?
Credit,
Yeah.
much attention until very, very recently. The tag titles are kind of the linchpin of holding this match together.
Yeah.
Because Nia Jax and Tiffany have gone for them, the champion and the sidekick. Liv Morgan and Raquel, I'm sure, are going to take a shot at them at some point. Now we have one of the tag champs that's not even in the match anymore. We'll talk about that at a later date as well. But I think because they've looped in the title pictures of all 3 of those titles, I do think and this obviously not a dig at you. We don't have to agree on everything. We're not one of those kind of shows. They seem to have built this around all 3 of the titles, and the match feels a little bit stronger for it. It's not as tied together as the men's. The Bloodline is like 4 years old now.
Exactly.
But I think because of the Bloodline thing, I don't mind that the other one feels thrown together, because I do like a little bit of let's just throw these together and see how the pieces fit in the pot.
I mean, we could jump on the other side of the island. Yeah, we could say like, oh, well, the Bloodline shouldn't be because they've been such a main focus for so long. That's why there are no other as great stories, because they stifle creativity, because they take up too much time, effort, writing, whatever you want to say. And the Bloodline has been a focal point.
You can't even say that anymore, because they teased the involvement of Seth Rollins at one point, which goes back to the Shield, which predates even the Bloodline by 3 or 4 years.
And like you said, the red herring of throwing Bronson Reed in. We're on AEW, we're still talking WWE, but
yep.
Point,
it's better.
Yeah, exactly. But no, you're right about that. And they had layers of storytelling. As we're tonight, you didn't get a lot of it. You hardly got any. There's only a few things that really has much of a substance as far as story goes. And even that, it's spread super thin. I want more for their women's division. Where is Saraya? Where's Paige? Where is Britt? I mean, there's so many people. You brought back Jamie Hayter after being out for 14 months again on a pre-show.
You made her into Timu Becky Lynch.
Exactly. She's done nothing but be the man 2.0.
the fact that they hardly use Soraya at all, but Soraya felt the need to go. And I like Soraya. I'm a huge fan of Paige, Soraya, whatever side of the story you're on, the shit that she's
Yeah,
been through, etc.
she's great for a
She'll
lot of
probably
reasons.
always have my support unless she goes and like stabs a puppy or something like that. But like, it's so awkward because this week she had made
So,
the decision.
wait. You don't mind that she stabbed a Mexican, Del Rio? You're fine with, but not
I
the
think he
puppy.
stabbed her with the penis.
Oh, okay. So that was
Anyways,
a problem. Yeah, but she was
um,
practicing
I'm
for
very
Brad
tired.
Maddox. Oh, never
Oh
mind.
no, don't do it. Don't do it. It's tired in here. But no, like the fact that they don't use her. So when she went on social media earlier this week to say she was stepping away from AEW, taking a break from the ring and doing some other some different ventures, some red carpet stuff,
Yeah.
blah blah, whatever. I think the fact that she felt the need to announce that was almost sarcastic, and because in reality, it's like, are we going to miss her because they don't use her anyway? I think they
Exactly.
literally brought her back into the loop. What, when they were over in the UK because geography?
Yeah, they were just like, hey, we're here for our big show at Wembley, so let's throw you out there for a surprise pop. But you know what got me to pop tonight was seeing
But it was kind of
Willow.
cool. Her whole family got to go out there. Again,
No
I
doubt
will
about
say,
it.
I will say
like those
whatever I want to
things.
say about Tony Khan, and I have a lot to say about Tony Khan. But as far as those types of nice, like, why don't you just go out there and have a moment things? He does that, and that's cool, and
Yeah.
that shouldn't go without
He
recognition.
doesn't go against the hometown philosophy. Like Vince
Yeah.
is like, oh, you're losing if it's your hometown. We knew that was coming. For a long time
no,
on
but
Raw, if it was your
even more
hometown,
serious
you
stuff.
were putting your eyes up to the stars. But
Even more serious stuff. Like you and I talked on the pod a couple weeks ago about the whole unfortunate Chris Bay situation, and
Yeah.
Tony Khan threw his hat and his wallet into the ring for that, and was sharing that around, and that's
Yeah.
not even anybody that has anything to do with him.
Exactly.
So
It
when
was
I
just
when I
the
land
love
on
of
Tony
wrestling.
when I land on Tony Khan for being an absolute weirdo, because he is an absolute weirdo, he's not without his good person merits.
As is everybody, you know.
You have to give the credit, or the criticism is baseless, is something I'm overusing these days.
No, but talking about being surprised, I agree with Liz. She said in the chat, I was not expecting Willow. I wasn't either. And
That was
that's-
nice.
That was a really cool moment. I popped for that. I was like, yeah, get her. God damn it. Kill Marina. That's awesome. And she dove right at her. And Willow, of course, is about one of the people that it is a believable contender for Marina. You've had,
Oh, yeah.
no one that kind of can stand up to her that seems like, I don't know, are you
But
going to
what
be
do
a
you-
threat to her?
But what do you get out of, and this is something I was going to talk about in the main event, but it sort of permeates throughout the card. There's people here who have individual feuds, there's people here who have individual titles, and there's people who, in Garcia's case, literally just are there to wave the flag and wear an AEW jersey.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing. I like Willow. You and I have talked a lot about Willow. I really wish Willow was in the WWE. Let's be real for a second.
That would be
But like,
ideal.
she's the next Bailey. Like, we always say that, and you shouldn't say that because everybody should be their own person. Whatever. Put her in WWE, she would be the next Bailey.
Her character is how I wish Bailey was booked.
Yeah,
Because
well,
she's
early-
happy and nice and effervescent, but then she also can get down to business and fuck people up and not take bullshit. So that's
early days NXT Bailey mixed with Bailey that we have now, like the happy medium.
yeah.
And that kind of thing. But so you want good things for her, but what does she get from attacking Marina Shafir other than, oh, I'm going in against Moxley's group with my AEW jersey on? Like,
Well, it was more or less she was defending Orange Cassidy with the conglomeration.
Fair.
She has history with them.
but
and
Orange
she's been in
Cassidy's
the
only
group.
in that. But Orange Cassidy's only in that situation because he's thrown on his AEW jersey and he's gonna fight for the heart and soul of
Yes,
AEW.
so you kind of that's what loses the plot, and that's the unfortunate part. She makes sense fitting in there, and I think they're heading to either Blood and Guts or one of their specialty matches. Obviously, and it'll be Moxley's Death Riders versus the conglomeration and Willow. That kind of combination. It's going to lead to supposedly the Elite coming back, and they'll all.
I will
form
say
to
again,
take
credit where
on-
it's due. I don't mind the name.
The Death Riders? No, that fits great. I like that better than the Ku Klux Combat Club, that's for sure.
Well, they're not. There's nobody in there from Blackpool anymore.
Yeah, no.
Unless like the loosest association you could do is if Pac was the leader. But
when they had Regal and they first came out, the four of them, I was like, wow, this could be a game changer. I was finally one of those that said that damn stupid line. You get so many people to debut, and the idiots on Twitter are like, this is a game changer. Oh, Ricochet's here. It's a game changer. Osprey's been signed. It's a game changer. And it hasn't translated
Ricochet is
yeah.
trying to be a game changer on Twitter. Let's be real for a second. I like Ricochet, but like I look at his Twitter
He's
stuff.
too busy changing his girlfriend's thongs at this point so she can take her, booty pics and try and make some more thirst traps. But
I don't. She can do that all she wants.
I'm
Samantha Irvin's not hard to look at, man.
no doubt about it, but Pretty Ricky over there is getting his feathers in a bunch and his panties wadded up quite easily.
See, here's what I don't get, right? Here's something we can spin off onto a little bit because the tribal shit and blah blah blah. Ricochet left WWE, went to AEW, and he went on the defensive and he started telling off fans and whatever. Samantha Irvin just left WWE. She's gotten some horrendous shit from people.
Yeah.
And she's handling
she was attacked.
She's handling it more classy than he is. And that
she's gone ahead.
She's taken a few.
She's cut a rug on a few people. We're going back. Let's play the intro again.
Yeah.
But
she's taken a few, but like on the most part, like she's done some stuff about like, smoothing over the edges and everybody can like what they like riding the fence type stuff, but a little bit more classy than some of the stuff Ricochet has put out there.
Touche, true, but she's definitely thrown out her share of shut the fuck up posts as well. But like, she's gotten a lot of harassment though.
She would have an
jumped on her.
Yeah,
they attacked her immediately, thinking that she was sailing on to AEW, and she's like, no, actually, I don't want to be a ring announcer. That I don't want to get hired for that. I wanted to be a manager or something to do with music. I like to sing. She won many singing competitions on the way there, so. Hey, live your dream. And you know what? You can't deny that she made a lasting impact on the wrestling fan base. Fans are very fickle, and it's hard for people to unanimously agree that, like, hey, this is our person, we like you. And everyone gathered around her and in unison took her on to be like, hey, you're
initially when Ricochet...
You're our gal.
Initially, when Ricochet left, there was this sort of uprising feeling of, hey, we're glad she's staying because we like what she does. But again, she wants to pursue the singing thing. She wanted to, I think she said she wanted to try managing. She didn't want to leave wrestling, but she wanted to get out of the announcing role because that was never her thing. She sang, it wasn't in America, so we had somebody else singing the Canadian national anthem, but she sang the American national anthem before Money in the Bank, when Money in the Bank was in Toronto.
Yes.
And she's got a hell of a voice on her.
Oh, I know.
So
I've seen her sing those pipes.
If she's got a singing gig, fucking go for it.
If she's not going to go into porn, you better be singing because you got to do something with those pipes. I'm telling you. And here's the thing.
You can do both. I can help her hit a couple of high notes. It's fine.
You and I had a little bit of fun fantasy booking, but we also gave our in-depth opinion on who we would think each. We made a personal five-choice list, to who we would love to see be the first women's U.S. champion.
I don't think it's going to be Samantha Irvin.
I don't think so either, but people can go and head over to your channel, at Spaz Phoenix on YouTube, and it's in the description down below. You can go check that video out.
I changed it over. It's to match all the other platforms. It is Spaz Phoenix Podcast.
Okay, so now
that you've mentioned that, though, now that you've plugged my stuff, I will say, either for people watching us right now or for people that are listening on audio later on, what Jake and I have done is, because I'm way too lazy to do live stream stuff, and because I've got a couple more platforms than Jake does, we've worked it out where we're going to do these live streams if you're liking them right now. If you can't make it to one of the live streams, it will be dropping on my alternate platforms. So if you follow me on Rumble, if you follow me on Spotify, if you follow me on iTunes, these will the Into Somewhere episodes will be dropping as pre-recorded content audio on those platforms as well. So if you're here with us tonight and you can't make it to the next one, which will probably be Survivor Series, maybe, perhaps, looking at you, Jake, the host.
It should be somewhere around there, yes.
So, if you're not able to join us on that Saturday, probably by Sunday or Monday, the audio will drop, and you will at least get to know what the party sounded like.
Now we've got your proper app put up. It is at Spaz Phoenix Podcast on YouTube. So go there, check out the U.S. Women's Champion predictions and hopes that we have set over there.
I think I put it like top 10 plus contenders for the title.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you talk for a second. I'm just going to get another drink.
Yeah, absolutely. So Deonna Purrazzo, Anna Jay open up the pre-show. Anna Jay wins, rolls her up. Quick little 7-minute match. they went ahead and they threw together a random four-way at one point. So Dante Martin, the Beast Mortos, Beast and Toast, more toast, I'll take it. Commander and Buddy Matthews were in a four-way. I wanted Buddy to win. Lo and behold, he did. I mean, he was just completely stomping Dante, and he pinned him. That was it. He was like, all right, you're done for. Solid match, 10 minutes in and out. It was very, like, just matter of fact and didn't leave a lasting impression. But Buddy is so good. Buddy Matthews is so damn good. When he had the Cruiserweight title, he was incredible. And when he was with Seth, he would have matches every now and again working as his heater where he would just shine. And unfortunately, it really came at the wrong time when he was there. The COVID area was not kind to him. Then he came into the House of Black.
Do you remember Super Showdown in Australia?
Yes.
How fucking over he was. I mean, granted, hometown guy and all that, but there's hometown people that aren't popular.
Exactly. They have people in their hometowns. A lot of people tonight when they had the women's match, they were like, "Oh my god, I didn't even know that was hometown stuff." Like they were like, "Oh, you are from here? Oh, okay." Like that's the reaction, and it's like, "Oh yeah, shit, we forgot to tell you." But then we had Big Boom AJ beat QT Marshall. Obviously, you knew the outcome to that, so that was it for the pre-show.
I will say the other thing about that four-way is it felt like a match happening with another match in the way. Because who else was in there? It was
Beast Mortos, Dante Martin, Commander, and
Commander. That's the one I was thinking of.
Buddy.
Because it felt like every time you threw those two out of the ring and you had Buddy and Mortos in there. It's just one of those, when you see the tag match because this person is fighting this person for their title at the pay-per-view on Sunday, so we'll give you a tag now as a teaser.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like that because give me Buddy and Beast Mortos in a singles match. That'd be great.
Buddy, he just delivers. He's always delivered. I remember being, doing reviews back in 2016 and being just enamored by what he could do in the ring and screaming at the top of my lungs like, please push him, give him a chance. Like he has always delivered an amazing match. And you know why? He's forgettable because he always makes the other guy look better.
Exactly.
Because he's not winning.
He's really in danger of becoming a Ziggler if he's not already there.
He's almost there in AEW at this point. Every time he goes out, he shines because he puts over the other person so well that those that know, and he
I think
will get
my
his
biggest
flowers.
regret, because I've done, I have to get back to it. I haven't done one in a while, but I did during COVID. I started doing the NXT Rewind series. When I was looking back at the old takeovers, like the ones that actually took place in Full Sail, like during the week and whatever.
Yeah.
And that was in the Blake and Murphy and Alexa Bliss era of NXT. I never appreciated Blake and Murphy as a tag team in their time in NXT, and I wish I could get that time back, but I also wish we could throw that team into what WWE is doing now. Because at least on SmackDown, maybe not on Raw, they still got to fix some shit. At least on SmackDown, it feels like they're trying to do some shit.
SmackDown has the tag thing going. Motor City Machine Guns shook up that division. They got it away from the Bloodline. Things have been good. Cheers to you, my friend. Cheers.
Perfect example is... what was I going to say? If you had Blake and Murphy and they were still a tag team, imagine them as contenders to Motor City Machine Guns.
And that's the thing. And they're another set that's like, no matter who you put them with, just like, who I think of them as? I always think of them as a trio for whatever reason, just because of the Impact correlation. Motor City Machine Guns and AJ Styles. For some reason, when I say one, I always think of the other. Without fail, like I look at them as a threesome, as a unit together. Giggity, baby. Just
you look at what they're hinting at, and I know I've taken us back to WWE once again, but look at what it looks like they're doing with Motor City Machine Guns and Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that as a trio would be. I think that would be like the current iteration, because the AJ Styles we have now is a little bit of a different AJ Styles than we would have had back in the day. But
absolutely. Well, the reason I bring up all this tag stuff is because we're kicking off the show. We go out and we have Private Party in this fatal four-way match, and they're taking
dressed like DX.
Yeah, dressed like DX. I don't understand that weird call out, but all right, Private Party taking on the Kings of the Black Throne from the House of Black. That's right, Malachi Black, Brody King taking on the Outrunners, and then the Acclaimed. Max Caster got kind of not the most face reaction, and then he threw the mic at Bowen. So, I mean, they've been teasing this breakup for a while now. Them not winning the gold tonight, I really see them splitting soon and Caster turning heel.
Is it just me, right? Because, and I'm not going to swerve this into a big conversation about cancel culture tonight because I'm way too tired for that shit.
Amen
but
to
like,
that one, brother.
Does it feel like the reaction that Max Caster gets on social media within the fan base, within the, like, you know, I want to say like the woke, you know, super sensitive community, whatever, has kind of spilled into what he's doing, and he's leaning into it as a character, and his partner is trying to be like the nice guy of the group, kind of like a Gargano Ciampa type situation,
just not as refined, more surface
level. Well, in beginning days type stuff.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They're playing out like, oh, he's flipping off the audience, and instead of like attacking their opponent, he's stopping his partner from doing something. He's stopping his partner from, you know, flipping off the crowd, doing whatever. Billy Gunn is up there creating a distraction, but he's creating a distraction for his own guys.
Yeah.
If they lose the match and then they get into a fight with each other afterwards because, you know, difference of opinion or whatever, that's fine. Don't have an argument in the middle of the match.
Yeah, that was bizarre. And then the Outrunners, it's like they have stop-start pushes with these guys.
The Outrunners winning would have been the only interesting thing they can do with this, because Private Party doesn't hit for me.
No.
The Acclaimed, it looks like their breakup is written on the wall. And who was Kings of the Black Throne? I would have loved to see them be tag team champions.
The only thing they ever did decent was the trios title, and even that wasn't great. So them holding the belts probably would just be another forgotten run anyways.
That's another thing I don't understand. Even the build to them getting a tag title shot tonight, all they talk about on commentary is what a great trio these guys, what an undefeated trio these guys are.
That was my problem. And the trios belts haven't even been mentioned, never mind seen.
Who are the
forever?
Trios?
I thought it was Moxley's group. I thought it was Claudio, Wheeler, and
that's right,
because Wheeler didn't want to defend the trios title, and they're like, you show up and you defend it. But now they're not walking out with those belts anymore. So I don't know if Tony's like,
well, they're not walking out with any belts.
Well, true. You've got a good point there. And here's the thing, like I'm intrigued by the Moxley.
Marina Shafir's got the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah, I want to see where this goes, but it's really dragging its feet now. Just like Bray Wyatt with Uncle Howdy, you know, and we're like, come on, Bray, when are you going to advance the story? And he's like, oh, I'm going to do this pitch black match, and then I'm going to die. And I'm like, damn it, Bray, you shouldn't do the last part. Do the match, but don't die. He wanted to. He was set on it. Something about he was going to become Jason. I don't know. Granted, I now hear voices, but we'll talk about that later in therapy. My point is, I'm truly worried about their tag divisions here, just all getting thrown to the grinder, because now you're diminishing the Outrunners again. The Acclaimed, you're breaking up. The House of Black can't get the job done every single fucking time. And you put over Private Party, which, great, all right. Moxley made a statement recently in the last week where he's like, everybody was exactly where they were 5 years ago, and I'm upset that no one's advanced.
It's really bad.
And he wants to advance people in this storyline.
On the one hand, I like him attacking, if there's anything to like about it, and I don't think they're doing it entirely correctly. I like him attacking AEW because they've gone so far from what they promised they were going to be in the beginning and all that kind of thing and whatever. The problem is, if you're attacking the company, and once again, it's that we're fighting over the heart and soul of AEW. We're waving the flag for AEW rather than having individual accomplishments, right?
Yeah.
But even if you were into that kind of storyline, you would want to hope that the fans are waving the AEW flag so that Moxley and his group would be the heels, and they would be the very, very, very discount NWO to their WCW.
Well,
right?
that's the thing, and it's so bizarre of what they're trying to accomplish. You know.
But the problem is with that is, how are the fans supposed to disagree and hate Moxley and stand up for AEW when what he's saying is literally true?
And that's the problem. He's like, no one's advanced, no one's moved forward. No one's been elevated. So because of us, we elevated Private Party. We elevated, but you didn't. The Young Bucks did.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't really stand. And
Well, and they don't
who
even
has
keep track
Moxley elevated so far? Who has he faced and elevated? No one. Orange
keep track-
Cassidy hasn't changed in 5 years. No one has changed in the last 5 years. And Tony does this thing continually where he has people out there, then he takes them away for a few months, and then he comes back out and acts like they never disappeared, like Brian Cage and Lance Archer being a team now under Jake Roberts.
Well, but here's the thing though,
The
is
fuck,
you know who
Spaz?
Tony cares about, and you know who he doesn't care about. And it's reflected in getting back to your point, talking about the tag team titles.
Are you talking about races or?
No.
Okay.
Him going out on social media and saying AEW has the best black wrestlers. Fuck off, dude. And there's nothing wrong with being a black wrestler, but don't lead. Okay, to be fair, before anybody like clips that and makes me sound like an asshole,
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't want him going out there saying we have the best white wrestlers.
Exactly.
Especially with Moxley as your champion.
You just say you have the best wrestler. Like that, see, that was the thing. You have the same mindset probably as I do. Growing up, dealing with Dare, like even if you were in Canada and you had the happy version of it, don't take your loonies, kids. It's still you and your bag milk. I know
snippets.
Not of color. Like we were always taught that everybody is equal, the same, and we are all alike. And then for some reason, like a decade ago, it became like, no, you have to see color. You're supposed to celebrate differences. But all that did was divide people because they put them back in the sorting groups.
You're supposed to know who you're supposed to apologize to for existing.
Whoa.
Oops, did I say a little bit too much truth? I'm going to get you kicked off YouTube, man. I'm sorry.
How do you get demonetized if you're not monetized, right?
We'll switch over to Rumble. It's fine. I'm
There
not
we
a
go.
Crowder fan, not at all.
No,
Anyways,
Sneeko will get us signed.
But getting back to my point about
Yes.
your point. There we
Yes.
go. Words. Prime example of how do you know who Tony Khan cares about? When does AEW care about the tag titles? When they're on the Bucks?
Not
When
even
they're-
really.
when they're on
Because
a-
the Bucks
well,
didn't
before.
defend them. Before, they didn't even really care when they were in the Bucks. The only time I feel like they ever truly cared about the tag titles, like really gave a shit, was when they were on Hangman and Kenny.
Well, that was the other example I was going to use. Even if they didn't,
Because that was the
prop
only
up the-
time they really propped them up, and that was because they were trying to tell the drunk Hangman story. So that's why they got as much TV as they did.
But if you follow that, even if they weren't focusing on the belts specifically, they were focusing on the Bucks. And while they were focusing on the Bucks had those belts. So those belts got sort of spotlight by proxy, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense, and you're absolutely onto something. I see exactly what you're getting at. It's just that I feel like, no, they don't even deserve credit for that because really the only story they told with these, what about the Acclaimed? No, they were a week too late. They didn't give the Acclaimed the belts at All Out. They waited till Grand Slam. I saw them get the titles. The reaction was amazing with the confetti and all that, but it could have been so much more at All Out.
Yep.
He didn't pull the trigger at the right time. And then guess what happened? They cut their scissor statement when they had the podium and stuff, and then after that they did nothing for 3 months. Nothing. They fell off because that's what Tony does. He pushes people and then they disappear. And here's the thing tonight: like, who do we have to root against Moxley? It's likely going to be the Elite. We've said this time and time again. Excuse me with my gas.
But I think they wrote themselves out because they knew what they were doing wasn't working.
Yes.
So we'll just
as
fuck
heels,
off for a while.
I think they want to come back as faces.
They want to come back as
company.
faces. They want a reset because
But
what
is
they
that
tried to do didn't
believable,
work.
Spaz? Is any of it believable? And that's the thing. So like,
The only
what are we
way
going to? What are we building towards?
the only way it's believable is if you lean on real life. And I'm not saying the Bucks are great people in real life, but they're telling the story that Moxley's trying to take over AEW. Well, who's going to wave the flag for AEW? It's good.
We got
the
teased
guys
this
that
week.
created AEW.
Yeah, that they were going to take over the Superstation. We heard
And they
this
cut a promo.
repeatedly. Yeah, exactly. So,
But I mean, no, but this is what I'm sort of getting back to. I can see it. I can't stand the Bucks, but I can see it from the point of view that AEW is the company, at least at one time, they paid attention to the fans more than WWE did. I'll give them that credit. So I think they can lean on the real life fact that the Bucks created AEW. Kenny and Cody and the Bucks created AEW. Of course, they'll be received as flag bearers again and whatever, and
Yeah,
they'll just accept the fact that their takeover of AEW was pile driving Tony Khan so he could walk around like a goof with a fake neck brace on. But
But we know
It's
that
not.
storyline was never resolved. We never saw
Nope.
any comeuppance to the Bucks or
And
anybody.
there, but
Jack
that's why.
Perry, even Jack
If you
Perry
want, if
loses
you want my,
tonight, and it wasn't even like,
but
oh,
if you want my opinion, that's why they fucked off. There was no way to write this off.
there really wasn't. No,
They
but
didn't want to have another situation like what they've got right now with MJF and Adam Cole, where Adam Cole was the heel, MJF was the babyface,
but
and now
Spaz, they
too
didn't
much.
even tell the story of Jack Perry left alone. The Elite left
Nope.
him, and that's why he
Nope.
loses. They didn't even take that avenue. They just let him get beat clean by Garcia.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
it's like,
And I don't
come
mind that
on.
either. I don't cry any creative tears for Jack Perry because Jack Perry can fuck
No.
off. But you're not wrong.
Yeah, in a nutshell, though, you're like, where's the story here? How is this not evidently obvious to you? I'm not saying booking television is easy. It's not, especially when you have to keep in mind CMLL, Stardom, and Ring of Honor. But Ring of Honor doesn't have a TV deal right now, and we're not seeing any of this lead to anything, and that's a huge problem. So, yeah, Private Party, they retained. There was some good moments in the match, but again, it was a 15-minute tag match that really was like, just a spot fest. And not in a TLC memorable kind of way where it built and built. They just did dives to the outside. You know, King and Black both hit everybody in the corner, then dove out of the ring, and that was pretty much it. I mean, up until the end where you got Gin and Juice on Caster, and then they pinned him. I mean, you saw Cassidy get upset, and he's like, oh, because Caster was not going to do the mic drop.
Yeah.
And then they hit him with Gin and Juice, and that was it. So again, like, all right.
I do like the Gin and Juice as a finisher.
I've always loved that.
There's not much I have to say about Private Party because I think they're. I know what's his name, Quinn, the one that had to go away for a while.
Yeah, that
I know
finisher
he-
is amazing.
I know he had to go away for a while, and then Zay was doing the Brother Zay thing with Matt Hardy, and that went to mixed
Terrible.
reviews, shall we say. But I don't think whatever they had going for them initially, I don't think they've quite recaptured it, which takes time. I'm not digging on them, but they're not grabbing me right now.
Yeah.
The Acclaimed is kind of weird right now. House of Black, I don't think Tony's going to give them anything because of all the rumors of Aleister Black leaving as soon as he gets a chance to leave. The only fun, cool, and not even from a, long-standing, this is going to be amazing point of view, but just from a fun on the night thing, the only interesting thing you could have done with this match was have the Outrunners win and have a fun team. Like, it's a hell of a comparison, but Miz and R-Truth getting their tag title moment at
Yeah.
WrestleMania last year.
And that was great, and I'm all for it. But
Yeah, but a little bit of comedy, a little bit of lightheartedness.
well,
When,
speaking of lacking comedy and lightheartedness, we had MJF taking on Roderick Strong. Now, this was marred with just so many baffling decisions. Not only did you make the Undisputed Kingdom faces now, which is really bizarre, but then you got somebody who's not even in the group. You got Kyle O'Reilly to come out and try to be the voice of reason.
And again, they're leaning on real life. They're leaning on the
they're
fact
leaning
that
on
the
the
fans
Undisputed
know that
Era.
Adam Cole and Roderick Strong were in the Undisputed Era
Yeah.
in WWE. That's why they stole the name Undisputed, but they say they don't copy WWE.
Tony's biggest thing is that he has an eidetic memory. He's great. He can recall, on November 10th in 2021, the main event of Dynamite was Moxley versus Omega. You know, he's like, he can do that. And it's so impressive and incredible. But your casual viewer has no recollection as to what happened 6 weeks ago, never mind 2 years back. And for him to kind of
And if
just
they do, but
throw
here's
this together,
you're right. But the other half of that problem is if they do have a memory of what was happening 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 1 year before AEW started with these guys in NXT, either they don't know about it or you've got the NXT fans that are going to say, oh, cool, so you just picked up WWE's homework again.
Yeah. And but they are picking up the homework. They are just kind of repeating things. This match could have been so much more, and basically it was MJF threatening to end Roderick Strong, and they kept kind of like countering out of it for the whole time. But basically,
Well, they're doing this whole melodramatic. Adam Cole needs to not be obsessed with MJF anymore because his obsession with MJF is going to get his friends hurt. Where it's like, you're a wrestler.
He beat Roderick Strong.
Any day of the week you could get hurt.
He put him in Salt to the Earth, and then they got the quick tap out, and then he
they
puts his arm in the
arm.
chair, and hits it, and then that's when Adam Cole has to hit his music. Can't even just run out. And he runs out, but that's when O'Reilly, Taven, Bennett, they all come in to check on, with Roderick and be like, oh my God. And then Kyle O'Reilly gets up and he shoves Cole and they're yelling at him, and O'Reilly helps Roderick to the back and they're like, oh, this is your fault and this is your fault. I don't know. This should have been a TV angle, really, not a pay-per-view angle.
This should have been the match on the Go Home show. This should have been...
Roderick Strong should have faced him there, and then he should have faced Adam Cole at this pay-per-view. I agree.
Backwards credit, because AEW used to be really good at telling this kind of story. If you're fighting a guy at the pay-per-view and he's the head of a faction, 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks before that pay-per-view, you're facing the guy at the bottom of his group and then maybe his sidekick in the group because you're facing him on the night.
Yeah.
This felt like the match that should have been on Dynamite before he fought Adam Cole at the pay-per-view. And because of that, I couldn't lock into it as the match. I locked into it as this is the match before the match.
Yeah.
And this match and the match before it, and there's a couple other matches that are going to fall into the same category. You and I said before, I'll say it again, we listen to a lot of What Culture. We take the piss out of Michael Sidgwick quite a bit. Conversely,
on the opposite, to the contrary.
On the contrary, I really enjoy Michael Hamflett, and he's got a lot of like key phrases that I don't necessarily steal, but I like to use them when they're appropriate. And one of them is, when the match isn't bad and it's not good, I just don't care. I can objectively see that the match is good. The wrestlers are good. They're doing all the right things, but you just don't care. And it's just wrestling happening in front of you.
That was Jack Perry and Daniel Garcia to me. There years about a year ago, the Garcia, you're a wrestler, all that shit. That was so natural. The crowd came up with that chant on their own.
Yep.
He could have turned face then. They wanted him to be a heel just for the swerve sake of it, and they lost him. They just totally lost him because they've done the face heel, back and forth.
MJF Adam Cole is something we want to see. This feels like the precursor to that. So because
do we want to see it anymore though? Like, do we really?
I do.
I don't know that I do, Spaz. That's the problem right now because I saw them as face each other at All In.
Here's the thing. We're going to talk about another match later on in the night that was definitely my favorite match of the night. And that's because I enjoyed the match. I didn't care about the story because the story doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The MJF Adam Cole thing doesn't make any sense. So
Sadly, it doesn't.
I want the promos to stop. I want the video packages to stop. I want the entrances to stop. I want the bell to ring, and I want them to have their match, because when they fought before, I thought it was good. I really like. I know most of the world has fallen off on Adam Cole, either because they've turned on him or because they think he's just going to get hurt again and they don't bother investing anymore.
It's hard to be invested in him. Yeah, certainly.
I haven't yet, because I've still got, of all the people that AEW has right now that I would love to get back in WWE, Adam Cole is near the top of my list, if I'm honest. But I do still want to see that match. MJF, I've got a shit ton of credit for, or a shit ton of respect for, even in the most frustrating days of watching AEW or sitting through Dynamite or whatever. If you've got a really good MJF night on the mic, or even, he's just being terrible to somebody, or even like his best, like the best feud AEW has done, even though they won't admit it, is MJF and CM Punk.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it takes a lot for me to not like it. And MJF's good. And Roderick Strong is, I hate to say this because it sounds like a sort of a backwards compliment. I don't see him as a big main event guy, but Roderick Strong is solid enough.
He's always been great. And
he's always been solid. In NXT, he was nothing but solid, right?
Oh,
he was
absolutely.
He was sort of like a generic babyface, and then he was, sidekick to Adam Cole like he is now. But he's solid enough. And you put him in a ring with somebody that I am invested in, like MJF, and I just know that the story doesn't make any sense, and it takes me out, and then it defaults back to, okay, cool, it's some wrestling happening in front of me.
Yeah,
and that is so much of this card.
You know, there was so many things that could have been, and you know, so many times did tonight we get the continual like, this would be better as a Dynamite match because they feel like they have to throw things together. I don't know. O'Reilly, everybody coming out there, it felt overbooked. Taven, Bennett, O'Reilly, who else? There was somebody out there, and it was like, it was just too much. It was overbooked, and it felt sloppy.
It was
Then, of
Taven,
course,
Bennett, O'Reilly, Strong, Cole.
that's who else. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Then we got Mercedes Moné, the CE No, as Liz says, taking on Chris Statlander. And I was shocked that Statlander got the clean defeat here. I mean, really, they went ahead and got the Hurricane Rana right into the throat in the middle rope, and then she gets a 3 count. 20-minute match, and my God, was this slow and sloppy. This match left a lot to be desired. I don't want to just sound like a straight-up Sasha hater, but there were so many times here that Chris... she'll say she sandbagged her, but Sasha's not strong enough to lift her. And she would try to get her up for like the 3 Amigos, and it just looked like she was dying. And it looked like Chris had to jump over her shoulders to make it. Like it just looked like such cooperation instead of wrestling. I don't know how you felt, but to me, this was a huge miss.
I'm probably going to surprise you, actually, because we've talked at great length on both of our channels about what I think of Sasha Banks and Mercedes Moné, because they're almost 2 separate elements at this point.
Almost, not quite, but almost.
So where do we sit that this was my 3rd favorite match of the night?
Yeah, and shout out to the Swerve shows, you know, just chiming in. But for this to be that high up on your scale shocks me because...
And it's not because...
This was Rest Hold City to me. This was very slow and just, I mean, after the 3 Amigos, you just got that 450 splash, and I felt like everything was like, oh, focus on the leg, focus on the knees, and then...
Okay, well, we had another match later on that was more egregious with the we're only going to focus on one thing stuff.
Yes, certainly.
But here's the thing. Sasha do what Sasha do. If I can say anything... She was a little like maybe 1% less Sasha than usual.
Yeah.
For me,
I can see that.
For me, this was me because I really enjoy Chris Statlander a lot. When they tried to turn her heel, I thought that was one of the stupidest things they've done. And think of the ground that
felt so pointless because she just the audience did not want to boo her, just like Rhea. You know, it's like no, come on.
No, exactly. People could enjoy booing Rhea because Rhea...
I meant now, but yes.
Yeah. But Rhea had that ability to sink her teeth into
when she first joined Judgment Day, she got great heat. Absolutely. I'm saying in the moment now, people wouldn't want to boo her.
She could enjoy being a heel. I don't think Statlander could. And she just tried to compensate for that with like way too much sarcasm.
See, I think Statlander could. She was just given shitty material and a shitty time and a terrible reason to be heel.
And the Malcolm Bivens manager
she was really
weird.
Shoehorned into just a shitty angle.
Like, people who are fans of Rhea Ripley will enjoy booing her as a heel because they're willing to play their role as fans. It's a different kind of scenario. People want to cheer for Statlander.
No.
She's
that's
just
why
different enough. She got rid of the really, really cringy gimmick that she had when she first came in with the alien stuff.
Coming from the Nebula Galaxy or the Andromeda, whatever.
But even when she was doing that, it's the same credit that I give Cody when Cody was doing like the mustache thing, the dashing and deranged Cody Rhodes, and he even made Stardust work, even though he apparently hated it.
Yeah.
If you can make the shit work, then when shit gets better, you'll be fine, right?
Exactly.
I think the same thing is true with Statlander, and this for me was me watching her from bell to bell try with everything she could to pull this match to what it needed to be.
She certainly did put in effort. Yeah, no doubt.
And I think like you know what they say, like sheer force of will. I think this was her sheer force of will. I'm going to make this match as good as I possibly can, even though my opponent is Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
And watching her...
It looked like she tried. It looked like Statlander really tried.
Watching her put the grind in made me...
Enjoy it more.
Made me enjoy it more and made me enjoy it on that level rather than, okay, as a whole, how did this match work? Because...
I mean, the crowd was invested throughout the entire match. And eventually, even with Statlander kicking out constantly, they still were into it. Like for every kick out, they were 1, 2, they were So that added to the match as well. Like I said, it wasn't bad. It lacked
And
that believability.
I will say, and there was a couple of things that I don't like Mercedes. Not pretending that I do. There was a couple things that she tried for in the match that hit more than they usually do. Not that that says very much, but
That's not a huge.
so like
gross
99.
praising.
So all the effort of Chris Statlander versus Mercedes being at about 95% Mercedes instead of 100 made for an interesting watching. This person that I like is really trying to get there.
Yeah.
Type of experience. I don't want to say a work in progress because I see it as higher than that, but it's the only
But
phrase
yeah,
I can
you
think of while I'm sitting here at 1:05 a.m. and I'm very tired.
Exactly. And that was kind of the thing. It was, as we said, a decent match, but it just, I don't know. That could have been a Dynamite, it's not even main event, but Dynamite, 9 o'clock spot. It didn't feel like this needed to be on pay-per-view.
For first hour main event on a weekly show, I would have given this more praise than I'm giving it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put
And
it on a pay-per-view,
especially
you have
all
to
the near
look at it differently.
falls, it got to a point where it was a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't, and we're again something else we're going to talk about in a different match. I don't mind the near fall city stuff if it's a match that I'm into. Because if it's a match that I'm into, that's part of the momentum.
And that's half of it is the fact that we didn't give a shit about Mercedes' match. And Hangman and Jay White, I was like, now Hangman's supposed to be, oh, wait, now Jay's the face? Or wait, Hangman's the good guy. No, wait, they're both bad guys. No, wait, they're good guys. Like, it's all over the place. And
see, and here's the opposite of what I was saying before.
Yeah, you get the focus on the ankle.
The big force of will thing for Chris Statlander sort of pulled me through the ladies. I keep wanting to say the ladies title match because they're treating Mercedes' title like it's the main title, even though it's not.
Even though it's,
and
shit.
we didn't have the other title on the show, but it's the opposite for the Jay White thing, because the overwhelming feeling the other way I had with this one is okay. It doesn't make any sense. Took over. They could be doing so much more with Jay White. Took over. I really, really can't stand Hangman.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. He's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and
there's two people in AEW, and I'm gonna keep my words a little bit nicer on the other one because I think he's still out injured. But there's Hangman Page, and there's Eddie Kingston, and the two of them are just like, I'm going to bleed and scream down the camera lens at you until you believe that I'm a badass.
Yeah, and Eddie does do that a lot. You're not wrong. As much as I love him, you're pretty much spot on there. I just enjoy him for him being so real and honest.
I imagine a combination of Jon Moxley and Kevin Owens. And I imagine that combination, whatever you would call that, is what Eddie Kingston is trying to be. And it doesn't work, which is why he has to stumble down to the ring in a bloody T-shirt with a gas can.
Yeah, exactly.
One step away from bricks and syringes.
Or is that 2 steps away because they already used them? You never know.
Yeah, that's true. But no, and it's the same thing with Hangman. Oh, we're going to burn down the house and pretend that's not a ripoff of Wyatt Norton. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, guys,
burn down Sister Abigail.
Show Jake some love. Give him some likes and shares and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Swerve Show and Liz and Cody, everybody else down there. This match was just very forgettable. We left into, like I said before, Jay White, Hangman. Basically, White escaped the ankle lock. He hit the Blade Runner, and he got the clean pin, and he took out Hangman. So now he's 5-0. Hangman never defeating Switchblade Jay White. Interesting booking there.
Are all these numbers that they're counting all matches that have happened in AEW? No,
yes.
Right?
Yeah, all AEW. Yeah, since he's been here, they've had 4.
Okay. So it's not like you didn't watch such and such ROH dark match. Yeah. Whatever.
No, it's his main shows. And so now they're on the 0-5 for Hangman. Will Ospreay taking on Kyle Fletcher. This was quite a few people's match of the night.
Mine included.
Yeah. It was an excellent match. It got very heavy-handed in the kick-out department for me
Yep.
at one point. That aside, the ending was fantastic. I'm glad the right person won. For me, that was Fletcher. He needs the build. Osprey can look good in defeat, and he can also survive the loss here. Fletcher needed this win. He is floundering after shaving his head. He's cut some really bizarre, shitty promos. He hasn't had the greatest justification for turning it into a heel. So him winning here really, really just puts him on the map. And the way they did it, it was a brain buster. I mean, what a fucking callback to Sami Zayn and Gunther.
Yep.
But hot damn, was that a great way to end this? The brain buster into the pinfall? Like, no, that's all I have to do. You're fucked now.
I really liked Sami and Gunther.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was the sell or the way he took the bump on the turnbuckle or whatever, because I've never been in a match, which will surprise nobody. The way he took it looked like a botch in a good way, you know what I mean? Where a botch makes things just look more real as opposed to making them look like shit. Lot of focus on the neck, a lot of callback to that promo he cut a couple weeks ago about trying to hold his kid and not being able to hold his arm and
not
that
knowing
kind of
their
stuff.
name and
There's a point in the match where he couldn't feel his arm, so he was just sort of like throwing his shoulder because that was the only thing he could do to punch with. I thought that was a really nice touch. And
nice
I mean, you
touch to someone close to being paralyzed.
No, but it was like
I know. I'm just giving you shit.
I know you're just giving me shit because I'm tired. You're picking on me. It's fine. You're the host.
I have to.
But like, it's what you would do. Like if you're
it's real.
Somebody coming at you to hit you, you would go to throw your arm and realize that you couldn't move your arm. I don't know why I'm trying to act it out on camera.
It's real though. That's the thing, and that's why I appreciate what we get from the NXT side of things lately, and not AEW. Because I told you walking into this, 11 to 13 matches. Holy shit!
Yep.
And Fletcher kicked out of everything, and at some points it's like, oh my God, what else can you kick out of? I mean, he hit him with the brain buster. Thankfully, that led to the 3 count. But before that, we got clotheslines and the running boot and the hidden blade and just
I'll tell you what I loved, right? And it wasn't reinventing the wheel. It was just enough of that's a little bit more than it would used to be. When they were on the apron, and he had Osprey up for the tombstone on the apron, and instead he jumped with him in a tombstone position onto the top of the steps. I'm like,
the fans chanting "Holy shit" for that.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
on.
Yeah,
that's a great call. That was nuts. And those are the moments that I wanted to see them deliver more of. Like, hey, it makes sense because you're trying to keep him out of able to counter. Yeah,
because they weren't doing 10,000 gymnastic flippy doos, but it was the kind of match that had those kind of spots, and that's where I forgive the oh my God, another kick out. Oh my God, how did he kick out of that? Because it becomes okay, I'll pull out this gun. Okay, that didn't. Excuse me. I'll pull out this gun. That didn't hold you down. I'll pull out my bazooka. Okay,
I got you. Yeah,
I'll pull out my cannon. Yeah, that's where they did, and that's where you said you hit the right word on the head. Escalation. I'll go to this step, and you still kicked out. Holy shit! I'll go to this step, and you kicked out. Holy shit! That's where.
Yeah. What do I have left to take you down?
That's where that barrage of kickouts, like, it's. Oh, how can I say it? Your will to keep fighting is more hurt by the guy kicking out than the next thing that he does to you.
Yes. Because the thought of it is stronger than the physical.
You think you're empty. You think you're done. You think you're whatever.
That's why we don't pay you the big bucks, my friend. But you hit that point, and that's so true. And it is, what do you deserve? What are you striving towards? Oh, you want the big bucks.
It was the same, and. Yes, I'll say it because I was there and all that, and I've only ever bought a ticket to AEW twice in my life, and they were on the same weekend.
Check it off your bucket list.
Yes, it's true. But no, I went to Forbidden Door when it was in Toronto, and this is back when I really wasn't on the Kenny Omega train just yet, and I didn't know. I had seen a couple of Will Ospreay matches, but I didn't get the Will Ospreay thing.
Yeah.
And
they didn't explain it well either. Even though he was done with New Japan, they didn't really go and like showcase him in AEW like they thought they would. It was.
Which is fine. I like a
It
new
is, but
person feeling new.
yeah, you can make them feel new and still kind of educate your audience as well, though, because a lot of times you're like,
Oh no,
wait, who is this?
I mean like personally, like if you're introducing me to a new person, let them be new. Don't tell me what I'm supposed to think of them. Show them to me, and then, I'll make up my mind from there. Being there live for Kenny and Osprey, considering I didn't know Osprey, I didn't like Kenny Omega at the time, and I'm a WWE guy. I would probably say it's one of the best matches I've seen live in probably the past 5 years or so. And I mean that one was Kick Out Central, but it was Kick Out Central, much like this one, where Kick Out Central is an important building block of the match. So that's where, like I say, when I say it gets a pass from me, that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, my eyes twitching. Osprey went ahead and tried to survive, but Fletcher gets him done. No more Mark Davis, sadly. I no screwdriver either. We just get that finish. Yep. They told a really good story, and I'm so glad it wasn't like, oh, he stabbed him with the screwdriver or he fucked him. He beat him. He got the upper hand and he beat. He pulled
out the vicious stuff that's just this side of being in the rules.
Yes, exactly.
Which is just as dangerous. Like the whole, like I say, I go back to the step thing. Sometimes one particular point in a match is what sticks out for the whole match.
Very true.
Drew McIntyre with his lower back is the other prime example we've used a lot recently, but that
Hell in a Cell spot sticks out.
Jumping tombstone on the steps, and you reach that point in the match where it's not really a loss anymore. Nobody would blame you for not getting up.
Yeah, exactly. No one's going to be like, hey, by the way, you should be Superman, but
nobody thinks of Will Ospreay as a loser after this match.
No. Speaking of match, we got Jack Perry against Daniel Garcia. I was happy to have Daniel Garcia get the hometown victory here. That was a fun moment.
That's the only part of it.
Goddamn, was this match a slog? Oh, Spaz, this dragged so slowly. I mean, we got the kick and the fucking ending with it and the slaps to the face, and then finally he puts him down with the big pile driver, and he's like, oh, he puts him in the sharpshooter, but then Perry almost gets the ropes and Garcia pulls him back and then he taps, and I'm like, all right, finally.
I did like the way he modified the sharpshooter, the way he almost scorpioned into it, so Perry
really
was flat
on
and he was
him.
flat. And again, I've said it a lot recently when we've been talking about other stuff. Like we talk about Randy Orton taking the one pile driver and being out for the night. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, and simple works. Sometimes trying to make something more than it needs to be is what takes it away.
Yeah, that's what makes it less special. So I'm telling you that these two, they had moments of brilliance, but it was so few and far between that it just, oh God, this match needed to be skipped over, in my opinion. I'm happy that Garcia won. He got the title. He's the hometown hero. Perry doesn't have the belt anymore.
He's in that larger overarching problem that I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Are you in there to succeed for you? Are you winning a title for you? Or are you just being a flag bearer for AEW? And he literally went into the crowd after and grabbed a flag from somebody and was literally draping itself in him like it was the Stars and Stripes or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I just
take you had to cover yourself entirely.
I know he's a babyface and he's got to be all virtuous and he's fighting for a greater good and blah 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 blah. But you won a title, take that victory for you. And for God's sake, I know I've been a fan of some shitty personalized belts in my time. I like the Jeff Hardy belts in TNA. I like the Smoking Skull belt. There's a couple other ones out there, like Naomi turning it into a Christmas tree that was kind of shit.
The one in the river, yeah.
The one in the river. This thing that Jack Perry came up with, because he's like a grunge kid from the 90s and he had to be so fucking edgelord and weld himself a title and spray it with blood paint and fuck off, man.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, really.
I said it to you before, Josh Briggs is a better Jack Perry than Jack Perry is. He's Jacked Perry.
Jacked Perry, yeah.
Jacked Perry.
Speaking of jacked, I mean, compared to the match before, we had Takeshita, so Take a Shit taking on Ricochet. This was a good match. I mean,
I see. This is one that I thought was like right before you and I spoke, or sorry, right before this match, you and I were speaking briefly, and I was like, yeah, you know, I wasn't always a Takeshita guy. I saw his two matches, the two back-to-back nights at MLP with, I mean, he did one with one with Speedball and one with Alexander, and you can't really have bad matches with those guys. We might be talking about those two guys in a different podcast. Stay tuned to my channel, Spaz Phoenix Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from.
Exactly.
But
go ahead and get that plug in. But
giggity.
I mean,
like I'm more into Takeshita now, and those matches, what they did as well is he's a really lean, athletic, almost acrobatic guy, and it makes you forget how big he actually is. And I thought this was going to be TTSSYF. Hello, thank you very much. I'm not sure what that stands for, but thanks for the thumbs up.
Thank you so very much. I'll take it as.
But I go into this, and I was like, Ricochet, who, as we say, we've had various opinions of him in the recent past with all of his Twitter history, but it's not like he's bad in the ring. I thought, based on, I mean, other matches were flat because I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
This one was one I was actually expecting to be quite good, and this one to me came off quite flat as far as like what I thought it was going to be. Maybe it was just in a slower gear than I thought it was going to be in, or maybe they were trying to take it in a different direction. But I felt like you said the last one dragged, and you're not wrong. But I felt like this one dragged more.
No.
And I kind of went into it thinking there's no way they're changing the title as well.
Well, so. You're not completely off. I mean, sadly, I mean, you know they're not taking the title away from anybody in this position, but at least with the stories told. I mean, we had Strickland taking on Bobby Lashley next. They still have the floor toms for Bobby Lashley's intro. Dum 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 dum. So they even have to rip off that with the Hurt Syndicate instead of the Hurt Business. I know I get shit, but some points in times when you bring over a gimmick, I understand keeping parts of it, but not the entire thing.
Not the wholesale.
Yeah, you're just doing it in AEW now.
Do we need to say it again? The two of them, after they left WWE, oh my God, the Hurt Business was so racist. It was such a slap in the face that we're going to do the exact same thing for Tony Khan.
Yeah.
And they wanted Gunther to be racist because he's white, I guess. I don't know. Fuck it. I shouldn't be saying shit like this right now.
Well, you're not wrong, because we had Swerve taking on Bobby Lashley, and again, this match was just like, all right, Swerve's going to get a bunch of offense in, Bobby's going to shut him down, and rinse and repeat. And that's exactly what we got. I'm sorry, but this was just, all right, it was a clean finish. He defeated Swerve clean. But was that smart? Was that the good way to do this tonight? Because Swerve was pretty much the other best guy you had besides anybody else.
This was a no-win.
Yeah, no matter what.
I'm not saying that to excuse AEW because they put themselves in the position. But at the same time, I have to acknowledge that nothing they did in this match was going to be good because it was a no-win. Swerve is one of your top guys. Yeah. When you go around saying your weird stuff on social media about certain members of your roster, Swerve is one of them. So I'm sorry, I gotta leave it like that. Why did Swerve come out dressed like he's one of the members of the Street Profits?
Because he felt like he was ready to go and get some of that extra bling bling.
He wants the smoke, but he comes out with like the picture of his own face on his face. I don't get it.
It was very ghetto superstar. I missed that point, Spaz. I am telling you right now, I don't know what happened, but I'm clueless. I'm white and I'm clueless.
I don't get that. I don't get the stapled on the face thing. I don't get the putting your own face in photorealism.
You're supposed to be hardcore when you do that and show how much of a badass you are, but to me, it's just stupidity.
It's Sting taking off the Sting mask and showing that he has another Sting mask.
Yeah, look at my Sting face paint.
Look at my face. It's my other face.
I mean, besides that, do you have anything to say about Bobby Lashley taking on Swerve? Bobby wins clean in the end, but it's like people are going nuts. Yeah, another clean victory. I'm like, but Swerve's the only guy you have left. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing is
Help it make sense somehow, Spaz. Like, fuck me, why?
here. Okay, here's what I'm going to say because I'm going to side detour a little bit, right?
Yeah, no,
Because
please.
one of the people you're not allowed to talk about right now is Brock Lesnar. When we talk about Brock Lesnar coming back to WWE, the first thing people say is,
Did he shit on her head?
"No, well, no, but well, we don't need Brock Lesnar. Who the heck wants to see Brock Lesnar?" I'm like, "Well, I want to see Brock Lesnar because he's fucking
He's a
awesome.
huge draw. Yeah,
Well,
one
he's a
of the
huge
biggest.
draw, and he has like Brock Lesnar has Brock Lesnar matches, and as good as everybody else
I used to
is.
hate those matches too, and going back and being able to watch them now with a different vision and
But
lens
you have
on
to know
them.
what they are. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
what do we say in TNA with Abyss and now PCO? Like, it's not that they're bad wrestlers, but Abyss is going to have an Abyss match.
Yeah, same thing.
Right,
with
and it
PCO.
very much the same thing with PCO, and in a very, very different way, but all along the same lines. A Brock Lesnar is going to have a Brock Lesnar match, and I thought it was always really funny that he would give a shit more when he was facing guys smaller than him, and when it was guys bigger than him, it would be a car crash, and that would be a different kind of fun.
Yeah.
But my point is, nobody wants to see Brock Lesnar. We don't need Brock Lesnar anymore. This wrestling's in a better place. Okay, then why are you looking at Obafemi? Why are you looking at Braun Breaker? Why are you looking at Bobby Lashley and saying, "Oh, that guy could be
Yeah,
the next
you
Brock
could be the
Lesnar"?
next guy.
Because you need a Brock Lesnar.
You need a Brock
Don't ya?
Lesnar to make the next Brock Lesnar. Yeah,
So-
and I think they're in denial at this point because they don't want anything to come back from this lawsuit. So they're just strictly like, "Hey, no, this didn't happen."
But cancel culture is not a thing, Jake. Forget.
It's certainly not. And
Us evil men came up with that concept. You know,
they genuinely
in our,
want to
in
make
our
sure
secret
you
evil
know,
men meeting.
Spaz. They want you to know at the meetings, at the fucking the pamphlets that are handed out, you don't mean shit.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh, this is going to go down a path if we
And
don't
finally, last but not least, Spaz, I know you're exhausted, but we got the main event of the night,
Okay,
Orange Cassidy taking on John
sorry.
Moxley. So let's go
stop.
back
No,
a
there's
little bit
reason.
and finish up.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
The reason I bring up the Brock Lesnar comparison is because
Yeah.
that's what they thought Bobby Lashley was going to be in AEW, because AEW has all the, the quick flippy high flyer guys, but they do on occasion, I will admit, book a big man well. Brian Cage in small doses, Lance Archer in small doses. I'm sure they would have done more with Keith Lee.
Not so
if-
much, but
Keith Lee's had a lot of his own struggles as well, though. I don't hold that against AEW. He's had a bunch of health stuff and whatnot, so that's not their fault. Let's be a little bit fair. So they do a lot of the vanilla midgets, right? But they're not terrible at booking a big guy either. So they want their Brock Lesnar. Let's be real for a second. Bobby Lashley comes in. He looks bigger than life. He came in and he squashed two people. One of them was named after a cheeseburger. It's fine. You can't have him lose.
no.
And you're fucked if Swerve loses. It's like me getting called racist because I said Ember Moon was better than Naomi.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is. So they really did.
That blows my mind. I'm sorry.
It's
One
my
black girl is
favorite.
better than the other black girl. You're racist.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite.
It has to be.
But no, in all seriousness, from a creative point of view, here's the guy that everybody likes. He's I will say in Swerve's credit, in Swerve's, whatever, in Swerve's repertoire, he has kind of become their John Cena in the sense that he lost his title and he didn't lose feeling like the main event guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's got
And we've
that
had a lot of those scenarios where, like, oh, the champ loses, but not any fault of their own.
Yeah.
So
he's
AEW
got that
and
going.
WWE.
Yeah, of course. And you can have those. Randy Orton is the prime example for me. Like, just quietly,
great example.
he doesn't suck up a lot of the main event scene, but whatever he's doing feels like main event content.
Yeah.
So he's established that, and good for him, quite frankly. Like, if you look at the members of Hit Row from NXT and how they've sort of spread themselves all over the place.
Yeah, with Flop Dollar.
Well, AJ Francis is awesome. I met him. He's a nice guy. I'm not going to shit on him. Plus, he's like 10 feet tall.
He's done some great things since doing the Flop Dollar thing, but
he's done some great things,
it
and
follows
like,
him.
you kind of hear about the real life stuff and all the charity and outreach stuff that the guy does, and I'm sorry if I've met you and you're awesome. Like, I'm never gonna say a bad word about Simon Miller. Like, that was awesome too. Yeah, I met Simon Miller. Go to a Destiny show. They're fun, but like, you've got AJ Francis doing like TNA / indie stuff. You've got BFAB on Smack.
Yeah, exactly.
You got BFAB on SmackDown. You got Ashanti the Adonis, who's gone back to NXT. You got Swerve, who's in AEW. Like, that group did something for people.
They try,
You,
at least.
you don't think about, like, you think about, oh, the Shield did stuff for people. The Bloodline gave us main event Jey Uso at the end of the
Not
day.
as much as previous groups, yeah, certainly.
But you look at something like Hit Row that didn't even really have a life on the main roster. It was more an NXT product, and look at where they all are now.
No, you're right.
All the credit in the world to Swerve Strickland. He's not my favorite guy, but he's also kind of an undeniable guy.
He is totally undeniable, and the fact that he lost clean tonight is
when you
so
got your
insulting.
brand new monster in Bobby Lashley, because you want him to be your Brock Lesnar, etc. When Brock Lesnar came back to wrestling, what did he do? He dropped John Cena on his head 16 times and got really unpopular real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
So they did put themselves into a bad situation in this. There was no win, and they didn't win. And then they put Prince Nana in the Hurt Lock. Yay.
Yeah, exactly. You knew that was coming.
Do you want to talk about the before we get into the main event? I know we kind of skipped it because it wasn't a match.
Yeah.
The women's championship celebration.
No, yeah, absolutely. This is one thing we didn't get to touch on. And you have Mariah May come out. Marina Shirakawa comes out and basically, shows off her amazing boobs. She says, "Look at my tits. They're perfect. Let's look at Mariah's tits. They're perfect too. Let's rub them together." And then Mariah May tried to smack Mina in the head with a champagne bottle. And unfortunately, Mariah was not successful because Mina expected it. She kicks the bottle out of her hand, and the cat fight starts. And it looks like we're going to have this feud going forward.
It was dumb, but her spin kicking the glass out of her hand and shattering it mid kick was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah,
in
certainly.
amongst a shitty. Because what was supposed to happen? If one of them didn't turn, they were just going to play their music and like bop around for a couple minutes on the ramp,
probably.
and that's their celebration.
That's the full-on celebration. So.
And then they took a bump off the thing and missed one table and hit another table. They pulled a Wesley. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's fine. Just stay still. But thinking about the ending and like I said,
and Mina Shirakawa's it's Shirakawa, right?
Yes.
Is a vampire now because they tried to sell it like she lost a tooth, and then it looked like she was biting her forehead, and then they quickly changed the story to she gave her a bloody kiss.
Yeah, she went ahead and gave her. It's her fault.
Okay, Shayna Baszler's a better vampire than you. Like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't like. I'm sorry, and I hate to go back to like. As much as I am repetitive, I hate to be repetitive because this should go without saying at this point. And it's one of those, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. Fuck it. If this happened in WWE,
then
it would get eaten alive.
Exactly. It would be totally fucking destroyed.
Would be eaten alive.
From top to bottom, no one would let that get a second of breathing room. That's what kills me. And like I said, if we look at the last match tonight, it's like, all right, I mean, we get Moxley and Orange Cassidy. You knew OC had no chance of winning at all. But, I mean, they haven't used Danhausen in months, and apparently he's been the main event tonight for a few other local promotions.
Okay.
I think that would have been a better choice than Orange Cassidy. Jesus.
It's complicated, right?
It shouldn't be, though, but it is.
No. My thoughts on the match.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be, but it
are
is.
complicated. They're complicated to explain, mostly because I'm tired and mostly because it's 1:30 in the morning. But I don't mind Orange Cassidy being in this position because if they want to play off that, okay, we've got a bunch of ragtag guys that are still going to stand up for what's good, and
exactly.
Leaders come from the strangest places, and all those types of stories that you see in movies. Because that's kind of what I'm treating this match like. This was not in execution, but in structure. It was
in
more
style.
In structure. It's AEW's attempt at a Cody Roman Reigns
type booking, yeah.
It's a story more than a match. You never know what's going to happen. There's all these outside elements.
They don't have enough of the outside elements and
no,
progressive
they
stories
no, they
for
don't.
us to even grab onto this, sadly.
No, they don't. But you've got a guy in Orange Cassidy that they are incredibly behind.
Yeah.
The only other one that would have been as behind would probably be a Darby Allin, who we saw later on.
Yeah.
So there's
as
your
he drove his car into the Moxley truck, the Death Rider's vehicle.
Well, we'll get there. This is why I'm trying to suss out the
we
different
pretty much
parts.
are there, my friend. I mean, we're at the end, so I mean that's where we are.
I'm trying to make my way through my thoughts on this match, right?
Yeah, so continue.
If you look at it like John Moxley, ironically, is the Roman Reigns who's doing nothing but bad for the business, and he's only doing stuff for himself, and he's got a dangerous group and rah.
Yeah.
And it's more about again, the heart and soul of AEW bullshit, but it was a spectacle, and it's the type of spectacle that we expect from AEW. Somebody's going to bleed. I said it before. I'll say it again. We need a pop. Somebody bleed. But Moxley doesn't mind bleeding. Orange Cassidy doesn't mind bleeding. There was the spectacle of that. Again, know what type of match you're watching.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I can get into that because they do it well. Orange Cassidy, kind of surprisingly, with the laid back character, and then, oh my God, he's actually a brawler. Okay, 5 years later, that part of it's a little played out.
Yeah.
And then you've got, but Moxley's got backup. Oh, but Orange Cassidy's got backup. Oh my God, it's a frenzy. It's a story. It's not just the match.
If only we knew.
It's not just the match. It's the spectacle type of thing. And
autographs included.
All of that, I was all the way in for. I was in it when they were pounding the shit out of each other. I was in it when they were brawling on the outside and both of them were bleeding. I was in it when Orange Cassidy had the big slick going through his hair that somebody on another stream said was just him being emo for 5 minutes. And I get the whole Moxley's got backup. They're going to come in. All of them, including Moxley, were in street clothes except for Pac, which is always hilarious.
Yeah. That always makes me chuckle.
I don't get Moxley's crew jumping in to help when he had the upper hand.
Yeah.
And then the other ones come in and they balance it out. Like, Sami Zayn came down and Kevin Owens came down and Jey Uso came down to help when Solo was out there and The Rock was out there. And then here comes John Cena and The Undertaker. And we threw everything into it. I kind of applaud them for trying to have an organized chaos like that in this match after
it would be nuts.
After giving us a decent amount of you've got the spectacle of these guys just beating the shit out of each other, right?
Yeah.
And then they went too far. And then the match was over and it kept going. And then they tried to bring in Christian with his Money in the Bank clipboard.
Which just fell to the wayside. That was so stupid. He got himself destroyed. I mean, come on. I mean, they made Christian look like shit. I know he's a heel. But they want him to look bad, but come on.
Here's the thing, because we're waiting. You mentioned it earlier. We're waiting for the Bucks to come back and they'll magically be face again. We're waiting for Kenny Omega to come back and he'll magically be face again.
Yeah, exactly.
When Hangman came down, and this is me, I can't stand Hangman, but I thought they were onto something cool here. I thought he was going to take that clipboard from Christian, and cash in himself, and save AEW. I don't like AEW and I don't like Hangman, but I think that would have been a ballsy move if that was what they were doing. It wasn't what they were doing. He was knocking them down so that Christian could cash in because they're friends now for reasons. And then Jay White comes down because they had a match from earlier. And the commentary made it sound like Jay White was going to try and get his hands on Christian's briefcase because he wants a title shot. So he was the...
And they had Darby crash into him at the end.
But the last person the audience sees in the arena leaving, the last person the camera lingers on in the arena is Jay White, which means we're probably going to get Jay White Moxley, which is a match I want to see. I wanted to see Jay White versus CM Punk, but then, people went and fucked that up.
Yeah. You don't represent my client.
Yeah, Jay White versus Moxley is a match I want to see.
There was a lot of Moxley matches that were wasted.
Jay White is a guy that I would love to see be champion. Perfect, to be perfectly honest with you. But then they go out to the outside and they're making the escape, and somebody does. They ran into the car, and it's all painted up with skulls and whatnot, so you know it's Darby. And then they escape in another car because randomly there's another car. They leave and they pan over to the car to reveal Darby Allin like it was a surprise. And it's like, if you wanted it to be a surprise, maybe don't paint up the car. And his head's busted open. So he wasn't even in the match. And he also bled because AEW.
Yeah.
So they had the organized chaos working with the story to a point, and then they went way past it. So the spectacle of the match that the two of them had, I loved. The organized chaos to a point up to what led to the final decision in the match, great.
Exactly.
Everything after that, like when you had just the Death Riders and the conglomeration and they were brawling, okay, that's cool. That's two groups that fight each other. And then you brought in Christian, and then you brought in Hangman, and then you brought in Jay White. And you put a hat on a hat on a hat on a hat. And every time they revealed somebody new, I thought it was going to be a surprise person, because AEW's kind of trained you to think.
Well, that's the thing. I've tried to let you go for a while now, and that was the thing. Like, I totally get exactly where you're coming from. And with this, it was just greatly disappointing, because it's like, oh, Jack Perry has not much of a history defending the TNT title, but at least it's there. The Elite left him high and dry. They were shredding paperwork. They got the fuck out of there. Now we don't know what Perry's doing. So for him to lose the title as well, it tells more into the Elite story, but I just don't know what the end game is. So it's hard.
And see,
to
that's
be
something that was missing.
About any
that's
of it.
When you start bringing in like one player at a time, it's like, okay, I've got this guy, you've got this guy, I've got this guy, you've got this guy, and you're almost like you're building up a War Games match.
Exactly.
Right? Type of
one
thing.
By one.
So you got the conglomeration on one side, you got all the baby faces that are sticking up for AEW on one side, you got the Death Riders, and kind of on the side you've got Christian and Hangman, and then you've got Jay White, who's kind of a good guy, so he'd probably be with the conglomeration. Now
anyways, yeah.
You had Garcia and Perry fighting earlier on tonight. Perry, who has been shown a decent amount of respect from Moxley recently, because bad guys recognize and sort of acknowledge each other, and
just a little bit. They like to meet in villains quarterly.
Yeah, because if you're a bad guy and I'm a bad guy, then we can be a tag team for a night. It's fine. But you could see, it wouldn't take too much of a stretch to put Jack Perry in at least a loose association with the Death Riders, just because
absolutely.
my other more so in the idea of my other friends aren't here right now. I need some kind of backup. Why don't I go kiss ass to Moxley and his guys? And Garcia is one of the guys that has
I'm saying
has stood up against Moxley and all that. So those were the two that I'm surprised. Okay, if we're emptying the locker room to get everybody on both sides of this fight, how are those two not there? And I'm not advocating. I can't stand Perry, but it would at least make sense. You know what I mean? So of all the bodies you threw at this, the two that would have made sense were missing.
Yeah, the two that would have probably made the most impact. And here's the thing. Tonight we got with Moxley and Cassidy, nothing great. I mean, really, it was just more of the same. Orange punches, hands in your pockets. All right, we're going to get the end of it. Ta-da, that's it. And it was like, oh, come on.
I will say, I liked his fire-up start, though, like before the bell even rang.
Yeah, he just went right into it, orange punches.
And I think it's kind of funny. I was watching Wrestling for Life along with the show tonight, because their live streams are awesome. Go check them out as well.
Yeah.
Highly recommended. And one of them, I can't remember whether it was KJ or Big Nick, but one of them said, well, if it's anybody that knows how to take a Superman punch, it's Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, no
like
kidding.
That's fucking great. But yeah, like
hearing somebody in the audience yell, perfect volume, go back to Roman. That was enough. I mean, my God, that had to hurt.
Man, this crowd was dead tonight, though.
Yeah, they were just silent for
and
everything.
In some places, I can't blame them. But I'm saying, like,
But the majority, they just didn't have a reaction towards anything. And I would wipe her with, the ranch and stuff. Be like, try it. Nope, no reaction. It's too bland. You can't mix that with dressing.
Why are we doing this? But no, so I'll put it to you.
Better than blue cheese.
I've kind of outlined it already because
Mercedes
and Stat was my number 3. This match was my number 2. Osprey and Fletcher was my number 1.
Okay.
If I was to put it to you, 3, 2, 1, you looking similarly?
I'm pretty close to that. I think I would go 3. The 3, I would go the Hangman match. 2, I would go the Moxley match, and then 1, I'd go Osprey.
Okay, so
close.
Yeah,
to some
I'm not giving Hangman any medals.
Even though Hangman
he tried
lost,
to help
the two
somebody
of them
else cash in.
Yeah, they really told a hell of a story. The ending was just so overbooked with Hangman coming out, and then he's gonna help Christian, and Christian gets stopped, and it was like just a hat and a hat and a hat, like you said before. It was way too
You've
much.
got a hat on.
Multiple hats, and it was not clear, concise, and enjoyable. And I'll tell you that much. And that was kind of really the thing with this. It was just like, come on, guys, you have such a wide audience watching at this point, and they ended with a gimmick car crash, and that was it. I mean, it was just like, hey, by the way, we're done now. We drove our car got crashed by Darby Allin. He stopped us from leaving in that car. And then Claudio's like, keys, we need keys. But the car they jump into is already on and running.
Yep.
So
you know what's kind of funny? You know what I just thought of right now? People in charge of AEW must have gone to Darby Allin at one point and said, "Well, you were dumb enough to put your world title shot on the line and you lost it. So we'll let you in. We'll let you be part of Full Gear. We just won't let you in the building.
We'll let you film from the outside." Hey, you're not too way off. Something's better than nothing with Darby at this point, because is he entertaining? Yes, but does he need a shower? Yeah, he definitely needs a shower. I mean, no doubt about that.
A lot of people need a shower.
I mean, Triple M said it great himself. He said it was bad, I heard.
He's coming here to find out if he should have watched or not.
Yeah, he was like, I'm glad I didn't watch. And you know what, bud? You're onto something there. But honestly, what was your match tonight? The Osprey match?
Yeah.
Spaz? Yeah, I think I'm going to go with you there. I really liked the Osprey match. I mean, some of the finishes there were a bit much, the kickouts constantly. But they told a good story.
Yep.
The things with Don Callis was somewhat sensible. I mean, the screwdriver doesn't always make sense, but
it was sensible because he didn't get involved. Because I think, as you pointed out, like a loss isn't going to hurt. It's not going to hurt Osprey, and a win was everything for Fletcher in this match.
Absolutely.
And it's a tale of two matches, because you had said your number 3 was the Jay White and Hangman match, and I had the opposite reaction to both of them. And it's like with Fletcher and Osprey, I was like, yeah, I know there's some things about the Callis story that don't really make sense, but I'm so into this match that I'm willing to put them on the shelf. Kind of like some of the brawling stuff in the main event with Mox and Cassidy. But with the other one the other way around, I really like Jay White, but I don't like Hangman at all. And the match was not so outstanding that it would make me forget all the things that don't make sense about Hangman's kind of taking a break from, being an arsonist and trying to kill Swerve. So he's just going to face Jay White, who's suddenly a heel or suddenly a face for reasons.
You just have to go ahead and be careful.
Yeah, so one of them was not good enough to make me forget about the bullshit, and the other one was good enough to make me forget about the bullshit. So.
And don't forget, we saw the Rizzler tonight, too, so that was a huge advantage. Tonight, I'd probably give this show like a 4.5 or a 5 out of 10. Where are you at, Spaz?
If I'm really nice,
and
I'm really, really tugging on my haywire hat a lot, maybe a 3.
Okay, so you're much lower than I am, being at 3.
One of my 3 best matches of the night was a Mercedes match.
Yeah, so that says enough.
And I mean the kickoff, and I know it's kind of a backwards way to look at it, but there were so many people on the kickoff that could have had matches on the card. Perazzo,
Oh,
what
absolutely.
are they doing with
Anna
her? Anna
Jay.
Jay, what are they doing with her? We both hit on Buddy Matthews. I want to see Mortos.
They were trying to tell
card.
some story, but like you say, with Beast More Toast, they just couldn't get him
More
involved.
toast with butter.
More toast.
Beast Mortos and Brody King is something we have to see at some point, right?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. But guys,
Big beefy men slapping man meat.
this upcoming
Big
week,
E
we're
special.
breaking down Survivor Series, everything going on down there. You can go ahead and check us out on the Spaz Phoenix Podcast channel. It's Spaz Phoenix Podcast on YouTube. You'll find him everywhere. Rumble, Twitch, SoundCloud.
Not Twitch.
No, not Twitch. Okay, SoundCloud and everywhere else in between.
YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iTunes. I think I'm still on Amazon. Search them all by
Hey, there we
Spaz
go,
Phoenix
Amazon.
Podcast. You will get the audio replay of this live stream you've been listening to tonight. If you're listening to the audio right now, please know that the original stream was over on Jake's channel. Jake Countdown Ended on YouTube for the next time we go live as well. Hit me up on X also at Spaz Phoenix and argue with my very, very unpopular wrestling opinions.
Hey, you got to have some hot takes, certainly. And I've been Jake, a.k.a. Countdown Ended. I missed you a little bit from Spaz. You wouldn't be here if you didn't know me, so that's right. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us in the chat all night. It's been fun. It's been solid. I mean, honest to God, this night, I could see giving it, like I said, a 4.5 or a 5 out of 10. I mean, it really didn't progress much. It didn't do much in the way of any type of storyline. It just was more of the same. I mean, we're getting more of the same Moxley stuff and more Private Party and more Mercedes. I mean, the only thing new is the TNT chant with Daniel Garcia, and even that was kind of not,
Get rid of that belt.
Yeah, with
Drink Smirnoff.
so-
Hashtag not sponsored.
Hey, there we go. But any last thoughts, Spaz, before we get out of here?
We had our vegetables this week. We get the steak next week.
Yeah, Medi Buddy
Hence my
Vegemin.
background.
There we go. For the Thanksgiving, we get the steak in the former Survivor Series, and we'll be live after that. That's right. Next Saturday, November 30th.
And I won't be as tired because it's got an earlier start time, I think.
Exactly. It will be
I think it starts at
covering
like 6.
the Thanksgiving post show of Survivor Series
There you
War
go.
Games. We've got the Bloodline taking on the new Temu Bloodline, and then we've got Judgment Day Civil War, Rhea Ripley taking on Liv Morgan's team. It's going to be a great time. Guys, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe down below. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it greatly. It's been a great time. I hope to see you all soon. Thank you for hanging out in the card. It was a great match. Spaz, again, thank you so much, sir, for making it a great night, and I hope you all stay sexy. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.